Well, I was actually still in recovery when I heard my mother crying and her telling someone else not to tell her about the baby. It was a bit of a shock. He had a respirator in his mouth and he was hooked up to all kinds of IVs and everything, trying to keep him alive. The pregnancy was all normal, nothing out of whack in any of the tests. A lot of the doctors didn't think he would make it past being a baby. So, I mean, the fact that he went all through school, all those back surgeries, everything that he went through with his heart, lungs, spine, everything. I mean, I think he's amazing.
I have a heart murmur and a diaphragmatic hernia and scoliosis. A heart murmur is where part of your heart grows a hole in it so it doesn't fully grow all the way, so they have to go in and fix it, put a tube where the hole is so it doesn't get clogged up with blood or whatever happens to it. And diaphragmatic hernia is kind of like the heart, it just bigger because it's only half of the diaphragm that was formed whenever I was born. So they had to go and make the other half, and then well, so far it's gone working. I used this as my feeding tube when I was a baby. They had put a trach in me because of my breathing issues. They had to have two different airways or holes I can use, one for eating, one for breathing. So they were not mixed up together. So
It was amazing. He was 6 months, he was 3 months old before I ever got to hold him. And he was 6 months old when he finally got to come home. And then there was still bumps in the road. He was still on the ventilator and he still had to have oxygen, but we made it. I was always afraid for him to get bullied or get pushed around because he was so small and tiny for his age. He always has been and always will be.
in high school, I mainly just kept to myself and didn't really talk to anyone since of my disability. I was put in these resource classes, and I had issues in special ed classes when I had to speak, so they just kept me alone.
Well, unfortunately, it's affected him in that he's just used to pain all the time. And he's still in pain a lot because of different issues that he still has. He's had many surgeries ever since pretty much the day he was born. His first one put him on life support called ECMO, which is a bypass of the heart and lungs. And then he finally had his herniated diaphragm repaired when he was a couple weeks old. From then, he just had to go on and grow and get stronger till he could come home. And then he was hit with the scoliosis getting much worse, and he had to have spinal surgeries. Every 6 months, he had rods put in. They're called growing rods. He went in every 6 months to pretty much expand the middle of his back so that he could grow taller instead of crooked. He finally had his last surgery for that at 16. Had his wisdom teeth out like all teenagers do, about 17 or 18. And luckily, he hasn't had to have any more surgery since. Well, right now he's got a torn rotator cuff in his left shoulder. He's just having pains. I've seen in some of his x-rays where they suspect he has a re-herniated diaphragm. He hasn't had that happen since he was about 6 months old. So that would be something unforeseen that we didn't expect to happen, but we're trying to get that addressed. But the pain he deals with is primarily his back and his shoulder.
Well, in the future, I hope I get a job and COVID is over, because otherwise, if it's still going, I'm going to have to get an in-home job or something, because I have a girlfriend and I planned on getting an apartment and everything with her. Can't really do that with no money.
I'm so glad he has ambitions. Yes, I'm glad that he's thinking about these things and looking forward to these things. I just want to try to help him get on the right realistic track to these things. Hopefully we can all get him there.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. That's it.
Other than I think both my kids are amazing. And cut.